Taylor, first of all, it sounds like Ja's on the way to playing tonight. Is there any definite news on him? And then what do you want to see from him if he's out there?
Yeah, training in a good direction. He's going to test it out one more time, but had a good last couple of days. Training in a good direction for tonight. And then just playing with Pop. He and I have been talking even while he was out the last couple of weeks of, the pace that we want to play out, how he's a huge driver of that. Even showing him some of the movement patterns where he can get better and where he's also thrived off the ball, not just on the ball. And then defensively, just continue to be a point of attack defender for us. We've gotten some, great outputs from, Scotty and Jalen in those situations, and we're going to need that out of him as well. Heavy pick and roll, especially tonight with a lot of their dynamic guard play.
Kind of going to switch the tone here a little bit to college basketball. I don't know if you guys have watched much of the Memphis Tigers and UConn game, but they just snapped UConn's 17-game win streak. And there were a couple times where UConn was down 3, and the first time Memphis didn't foul, UConn made 3. Second time they fouled and eventually won the game. Just curious, we've seen you play it out a few times that way, but just what's your take from a coach's perspective on when to foul when you're up 3 or when to kind of play it out?
Yeah, well, first off, shout out to the Tigers, huge win. Hopefully that continues to propel great momentum for Penny and the group, throughout the season. That's always a tricky one. I mean, we have our matrix there, and then there's obviously the feel of the game, and you hope that they don't get that 3 to fall the first time. And with that clock to run out, you're always factoring, your timeout situation, your confidence at the free throw line, the opposition's timeout situation as well. And if you know what their actions are and you have a pretty good pulse on what they're potentially going to run or the coverages you're going to, deploy, going to be able to allow you to not have to foul in those situations. So those are tricky in those situations. We always come in with a mindset, watching their film, what have we reviewed in practice, where's the confidence in our group to be able to execute a take foul or not take foul situation. Sometimes it's just get them off the 3-point line and live in 3s and 2s and take the 3-ball away and then just have trust in your free throw group. So not an exact recipe, but we definitely have our game plan, and definitely that feel factor comes in at the very end.
Speaking of tricky situations, you're getting 2 potentially healthy bodies back, and you got the guys currently in the rotation playing well. So how you determine when and who to put in the lineup? Yeah,
we're just going to take it game by game. Obviously, we've been dialoguing about this as a staff for the last couple of weeks, and even have addressed this with the team before about we got to lean into our depth, and guys got to be ready to adjust their roles. We know what our standard is. I always talk about that, but whether you're starting or coming off the bench, or if your minutes go up or they go down a little bit, you just got to make an impact while you're out there. And obviously, we read as the game goes on how we finish the second quarter, how we finish the fourth quarter, based off of what combinations are going well and who's playing well as over the course of the first 36 to finish the game. So they're tough decisions. It's a great opportunity for me as a coach and for our team to showcase our depth, and then on me to make the best decisions possible throughout the game and at the end of the game.
Taylor, for the past few years, we've been spoiled by Tyus backing up Ja and those guys playing together and off of one another. In what ways is the Ja-Scotty dynamic a little bit different, but just as productive?
Yeah, definitely different. Tyus, what a stud of a player, and obviously, person as well. He was an anchor for our second unit, and with Ja possibly coming back tonight, Scotty's well adept at being a starter or coming off the bench and having an impact on both sides of the floor. We know what he's definitely capable of on the defensive side, being a primary defender for us. Offensively, I think he's taken huge strides in his playmaking ability. Still playing fast but under control. He's one of those guys that can set our engine and our transition game. And then when it's in the half court, he's one of the guys that has an ability to get to the paint, not even having to use a ball screen. Making airtime decisions and closeout reads and whatnot. And then playing off of 1 foot, 2 feet, kicking out, sometimes scoring as well. Find that balance with his assist to turnover ratio. I don't think anyone's ever going to beat the amazing one that Tyus has set. But I've seen the growth out of Scotty. He's played a lot of different roles so far for this season. Played with a lot of different combinations this season from a guard standpoint and big standpoint. So I'm very confident that he can uphold that kind of bench mentality when that role gets called upon him.
We talked to Marcus this morning, and he started every game the previous 3 seasons before this one, and now Jalen has obviously taken off and played really well. He talked about being selfless and he just wants to win. I'm just curious, have you had those conversations with him, and what have they been like?
Yeah, I mean, they've been just along those lines, super selfless, all about winning at the end of the day. Obviously, you know, coming off of, I think it was the ankle injury early in the season, obviously the food poisoning bout last couple of days that took a toll on him. You know, he's ready for anything. You know, he's faced a lot of different roles in his career. I mean, obviously got mad respect for his pedigree, you know, the winning player that he is. But at the end of the day, he can see the group playing well, especially the starting unit. He knows he can make an impact, whether it's starter, come off the bench, finishing. You know, to have that, you know, humble mentality, it's really important, especially with a guy that's got that resume.
Taylor, if Ja plays, minute restrictions?
Minute conscious, you know, nothing restrictive and all that stuff. But you know, we've got, you know, a lot of games coming up this week. You know, a decent little layoff since his last game. So if he's able to go, we'll definitely be smart, but you know, not too restrictive. Great, thanks, Coach.